2, 1, boost ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. LATB, LaTB, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back. Episode 201. We're going to Canada, Ottawa. How you gonna like us coming up in your house, making some money, because it's gonna be a fun one. But before we get into that 12 card bout coming out of the Great White North, we got to do a little bit of maintenance with some of the Twitterverse stuff, some of the other issues that have been going on in MMA. Officially, one of the biggest draws of all time has officially retired. How do you feel about that, Lesbo? What have you heard about that?
Who, Brock Lesnar?
Yes.
That, to me, just means either he needs out of the pool right now so he can go and take his EPOs and steroids and
He has
stuff
asthma.
like that.
He has asthma.
But the questionable thing is he put himself back in the pool of recent. I'm with Ariel Helwani on this, and I don't buy it at all. I think that means him and DC are fighting, and poor Stipe is... Because nothing's clarified there, but there's all the murmurs that might happen.
What is clarified is that Stipe's getting screwed.
Oh, yeah. Stipe, if the UFC hasn't made it official yet, but the rumor is something, that means that ain't going to happen.
100%.
In my opinion. And whatever
Dana says.
Yeah, whatever Dana says, it's the opposite. And so if they're saying Brock's retiring, I don't believe it. Even though I think he should. Does he have a lose record? Artem Lobov's record might be better than Brock Lesnar's.
I don't know, but I do think that he might be 500, an even type of fighter right now. But still the biggest draw, and it makes sense for DC to want
Third
the easiest
biggest,
fight.
Right? Or second?
Might be the second now. Conor might have taken it. Yeah.
So after Conor, ahead of Ronda, and then John?
I
think that's the 4.
But either way, we know that Brock brings in that money regardless. He sells X amount of pay-per-views. Doesn't matter if he's finding a trash can or not. And DC all of a sudden has to fight someone who's not Stipe Miocic for way more money. Of course it makes sense that DC's only going to hold out for that fight.
This is all a work.
I agree.
DC loves to play with it. He wants part of the work.
I totally agree.
So, yeah, but I don't care. I don't care if Brock never fights again. I would much rather. Stipe is the guy that deserves the shot anyway. Everyone's like, oh, he got knocked out so fast. And I'm like, yeah, he did. But he did hold the belt longer than any other heavyweight. So
Agreed.
If it's just the whole division, he's the first guy that wasn't just a puncher's chance. I don't know. And DC, what has he done for me lately? Fight and knock out Derrick Lewis? Or TKO Derrick Lewis?
Derrick Lewis, but DC has been on a run. He's definitely earned a little bit of rest. It is later on in his career, but he's officially not retiring. He was saying at 40, it's now past 40, so he's still talking about having a few other bouts.
How long has it been since he fought? Just November or something, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. But Stipe was just a very active heavyweight champion.
Yes.
It was
nice, which is rare for the heavyweights.
You know what, though? No one stuck up for Stipe.
I totally agree with that. Nobody
fans
has.
give a shit. Fans just move on. You hear them talking shit. They'll still fight about Khabib versus Conor, but no one fucking sticks up for Stipe anywhere.
The truth.
People stick up for Ronda Rousey.
Still.
To
this day.
Poor Stipe can't catch a break.
Do people stick up for Dan Hardy? Or Greg Hardy, I mean.
I was like, no one messes with Dan Hardy.
Dan Hardy's a shit.
Boy.
I mean, Greg Hardy. There's a few.
You know what? He looked like he had fans when we were there.
There was fans.
Don't you think a lot of ground floor people, like, it seemed like
I saw that section.
Yeah.
But those people are usually friends and family down at that section.
They're all his hanger-ons.
Exactly. There was I saw, though, maybe one or two in the stands as well. But one or two, it was like us cheering for Hermanson. It was only us two.
I just felt like it's funny that everyone said that looked fixed, but I think the same thing. I've rewatched that fight a few times, the Greg Hardy fight. Yeah. It still looks fucking weird to me. It looked like you or I'll even go with because that seems that I could have taken that punch from Greg Hardy without Turtle. It looks like he side grazes with the cup of his hand. It doesn't even look like a dead shot. And I believe Greg Hardy has enough power to knock people out. That's not what it's 2 punches. Like the guy's like, done, don't wanna. It's so weird.
I would agree. We usually say don't trust Dana White, but this is one of those times where I do trust, where he's like, if fans saw that, they'd say it was fixed. Like, Dana doesn't usually bag on fights that badly, and he was like, that
That's
guy's
like
not going to
Elon
drop.
Musk saying, though, it looks so fake. That's how you have to know it's real. You know what I mean? Like the Tesla car floating around space. It's the same amount of hype as Greg Hardy. I don't know. I need to see him in a real fight. And I could have been, I let people move on from their mistakes. But if you're a suck fighter, I don't want you on my UFC embarrassing me in a co-main event when people that don't know the sport are watching.
Second fight, co-main event, lost his first fight in the UFC and still made $150K.
Yeah, that's what everyone's saying. He made more than the Joker, Jack Hermanson.
Yeah, and a couple other guys. I think Jim Miller, he might have been beaten out. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. But a couple other guys with many fights. Gilbert Burns, he beat by far. So, interesting what your managers can do for you in the sport.
Or just by name, because CM Punk made a lot more than everyone when he walked down, even in his first fight.
And a lot of people were upset about that as well.
Because you do work before you get there to build somewhat of a name for yourself. Like, some people walk in with a name, I imagine.
It's true. Gaethje did come in for a bit more money.
Or we were just talking about Brock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he got paid fat the first time. And ever since, he usually makes a few million.
David Branch. Just kidding. That's just a weird one.
That one might have not negotiated for so much money.
Is there anything else going on?
Angela Magana has officially come out. She is good. She woke up. She's all right.
Oh, my God. Did she say something stupid already? Or can we still, maybe she changed her ways?
I'm sure she's just a thumb away from posting another booty shot here soon enough to make us dislike her. But right now, she gets a free pass for a little while.
I don't care about her booty shot. She just says some dumb shit. But, yeah, I'm glad she's okay. That's good news.
Other MMA universe.
I can't think of anything. There's been a couple of fights that are booked. Let me fly over to our Instagram page, LaTB_MMA, and see what's in our story, because I do feel like I may have posted some fights that were booked that I was like,
there was some
exciting.
fun announcements. There's actually been quite a few dropped as of recently. The highest profile fight, though, off the top of my head, there was a replacement for Badr Hazara, but that might be on this fight night in Ottawa. Before we get
I can't find it. I felt like there was some crazy fights that were made or something that happened that I was like, ooh, that's a stunna fight.
I would agree with that, but apparently
I'm just
not big
figuring
enough.
out how to use the Instagram where it's like, look at flashes, and you can do. Oh, I know it. Our girl Leslie Smith got signed to Bellator.
Oh yes, that is great news.
Isn't that fucking awesome?
That is
Maybe
great
it's not
news.
huge news, but you know how we feel about Leslie Smith here.
True.
So I thought that was really awesome, and I also think if Angela Hill can be a champion over in Invicta, Leslie Smith can be a champion in Bellator. I would put $100 on it.
Well,
yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is.
I would. Leslie Smith, it'll be fun to write in him.
Definitely a good bet. With Angela Hill, quickly, while you're writing down that bet, she actually is, as of short notice, just taken a fight as of late. And I can't remember who she's filling in for, but I do believe it's a Yao or a Zhang type of a fighter.
Angela Hill's fighting again?
Yeah, she just signed it. She's fighting short notice due to an opponent falling out. Within, I think, 3 to 4 weeks. So Angela Hill making a run, getting it going. It's actually an advantageous fight against the Asian fighter. I just can't, for the life of me right now, think of specifically.
It's not
the name.
Zhang.
It's not. No, it's
Eli
not
Zhang.
Zhang. I think it might be. I'm not going to throw any other names out there because I might be wrong on some of them.
Yeah, we'll be wrong in our pronunciations.
But the names I'm not going to end up getting wrong. It's something easy like Cole Smith versus Mitch Gagnon. We're going to start from the bottom to the top here. Coming out of Ottawa, we have a 12-card bout. It's going to be on your ESPN package. Look at your BT Sports, Sky Sports, TSN, local listings, wherever you're going to be. This is going to start mid-afternoon over here on the East Coast. But definitely one you're going to be able to make money on. This is actually a fairly fun betting night. And we've been telling you to hold back on some. We just had a good night of bets. I feel like this one's going to actually pull out. And there's some underdogs to be had. Again, it's going to be headlined by Raging Al Iaquinta versus Donald Cerrone at 155 pounds. But here we go from the bottom to the top. And again, Mitch Gagnon's coming in off a 2-year layoff against debuting Cole Smith. Both of these guys are fighting at 135 pounds. Mitch Gagnon is 12-4. We definitely have really liked his wrestling for a long time. Has a good left hook. And in his 2 last losses, went back and had to see them. And it was to a Henan Barao and a Matthew Lopez, which both guys have been doing fairly spotty since they've kept fighting. And Gagnon has kind of not. He stayed in his hometown and has been working on his own gym. He's also had multiple neck injuries that have kept him out as well. And at 34 years old, he was looking a little weathered even in those last fights, in the Lopez fight as well. After the first round, Mitch Gagnon looked pretty spent. And I do feel like it happened in the Barao fight as well. So it's just, I don't know if he's going to have everything there. These guys that are doing the whole, I run a gym as well as an MMA fighter out in the middle of Saskatchewan or wherever he's at in Sudbury, Ontario. He just doesn't have other UFC professionals that are training with him. I just got to go with what I saw last. And Cole Smith, debuting at a perfect 6-0, is actually a fun fighter out of Canada. He's been training in Muay Thai. Has 15 pro fights in Muay Thai. Only lost he's fought in a few sports. Muay Thai, he's perfect 15-0, and I think he's 1-1 in boxing specifically. It might be the only fight that he's lost in MMA. He's been perfect, but Cole Smith's well-rounded. Obviously, his striking is where he likes to go. He has a good clinch, good at-range striking, and actually fairly decent takedown defense. The caliber of fighter he's been fighting out of the BFL isn't the highest notch, but there's guys with winning records on there. 3-2, 5-1. I thought that I had seen a while ago that he had actually fought somebody as of caliber, but I could be getting it
He's
mixed
never
up.
fought somebody with a losing record. All the people he's fought have winning records. Some of them only have
two
fights.
fights and O records, but Cole Smith all around has a okay gas tank. The things we got to worry about is his debuting here against Gagnon, and those lights do tend to get to these guys, especially in 6 fights. That's still fairly fresh, even though I do like all of his background in Muay Thai. Might help him with the stage presence a little bit more. For me, it's more of a fade on Gagnon than anything. I think that the 30-year-old Cole Smith just has it a little bit more. He's trying to make a name for himself, and this is a perfect spot against somebody who has tended to really gas out after that first round. Cole can get hit or can also wear a punch well. He has, on some of the tape I saw, eat a couple good punches and get right back into your face, and I feel like that's exactly what you need to do to a Gagnon right now for him to be like, all right, deuces. Thank you, Canada. I'm retiring. Thank you for all the years, and give me the even minus 115 plus 115 Cole Smith underdog to start off the night. Who are you going to pick and why?
First of all, I'm going to stay far, far away from this fight. But I know this is a usual stick with what I know, but ring rust is real. And being offered 2 years and 4 months for Gagnon, is it
Gagnon.
Gagnon. Now we're
French Canadian. French Canadian.
Gagnon.
Oh, Poutine.
He being off for that long, I'm like, did he pop for something?
No. Neck issues. He's had like really bad neck issues. Vertebrae, spine issues.
That ain't good. Especially if you're coming back. What is it? Cain Velasquez. That's what it kind of reminds me of. So,
oh, yeah.
I think I am going to go with the new up-and-comer, but I am maybe on like 1 or 2 cards if I play 6. Maybe 30% I'll put Smith. A little less than that. But I don't like the long amount of time off for the 34-year-old. So Smith decision, but staying far, far away from this fight. Anything could happen.
Gagnon does have the ground advantage here as well, so he would be the more likely guy to actually be able to pull off the submission. But Smith has serviceable takedown defense, so I don't think it's going to be easy for him to get there. On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying $8,500 for Gagnon against Cole Smith, $7,700. We like to stay away from these type of fights, but I am going to sprinkle Smith in there out of the 2 if there was someone in there, and it's probably around that 20-30%. Moving on to 265 pounds, we have the big boys coming in with Arjan Boulard coming in against Juan the Kraken Adams. And I remember throwing some heat, a little bit of shade over at Juan Adams because he kept putting up all those lit stickers on his Instagram, and I was like, release the Kraken. Everyone wants to see that Hoggo. So what I just recently found out is that he was actually getting marked, identified as sexual gratuitous content. That's how big of a Hoggo he's got going on down there. That they were like, oh,
he has to. He's an enormous guy.
He cuts up from about 293 pounds. If you listened recently to Corey Anderson on Joe Rogan, Corey Anderson had a really fun story about, there's a heavyweight, Juan Adams coming up, who actually cuts weight, is a D1 wrestler. And I told my buddy, like, hey, you got to get ready for this guy because this ain't like a regular old heavyweight. This dude can move. And Corey Anderson said, my buddy didn't listen. And it was a really long night. It's his only KO loss he's ever had in his career. So Juan Adams ain't no joke. Corey Anderson's known about him since the regional scene. We've been talking about him since he was fighting on the Contender Series. We've said this guy's going to go to the top on his athleticism, D1 standards. His striking against De La Roca in his debut looked good. He had some of the highest strike percentages.
You're right. He is all bodied up. He doesn't look like a normal heavyweight, you guys.
He has to cut down.
Extra weight on him, and he's very well proportioned. He's not like Bigfoot Silva or something, or any one of these super tall guys with the long reaches. Even
Volkanovski.
Yeah, or even Travis Brown, like
exactly.
That lanky. Like, he doesn't have any of that. This guy is. He's cut
thick.
up. He looks like he's built like a 185er, but filled out at 265. It's unbelievable. He probably walks in, you said, at like 285?
No. He walks around at like 295, and he has to cut down to 265.
He's probably 280, 285 walking in the octagon.
Yeah, that's right. Probably around that. But he can move. That's the thing. Look at his De La Roca fight.
Fat. He doesn't look
great job.
big. He doesn't look
good punches. Great takedown defense. And that's the thing that a lot of people are saying here with Boulard is Boulard comes in with that Commonwealth regional titles, one of the most accredited wrestlers out of Canada coming into the UFC. Boulard, I was big on thinking his wrestling was going to come in heavy against Siwi. Lesbo taught me wrong. Lesbo showed me, she's like, I don't like this guy. This guy looks kind of weak. This guy has a really weird game. And sure enough, Boulard is a good wrestler, but he doesn't know jack shit when he gets on the ground. And Siwi really exploited that. And we've seen even with Adams, he's serviceable on the ground, at least has that top. At least he knows what to do down there. He might not be rolling for knee bars or anything, but Adams isn't a fish out of water. He doesn't have to worry about a Canadian Commonwealth against a D1 wrestler. And I would actually say that I was under the impression that Boulard was actually an Olympic wrestler for Canada, and he wasn't. He was the Olympic alternate.
Uh-huh.
So he didn't actually compete, but he did have to train with a team in case somebody got hurt. He was going to be the next guy in.
Was he at 205 before?
No,
Boulard?
he's always been at 265 pounds. But Boulard does walk around at that 240, so he's in that Stipe type of size range. Doesn't have power, and most heavyweights do, but he has an okay jab, good foot movement, okay takedown defense. I don't want to say there's quit in him, but there's just times that I see that he's processing the fight, where if there's an actual guy with a little bit of gas tank, they'll be able to push forward on him and really bring down the pain. And I think Adams hits too hard. I think he's a better wrestler. I'm actually really surprised it's only minus 110. There's been money coming in on both sides, a little bit more on Boulard, and I think that this honestly could be a minus 200 favorite. I just see Adams has a check mark everywhere. Boulard doesn't even submit people. If he doesn't know how to fight off an omoplata submission, he doesn't understand how to even rudimentary arm triangles and stuff. He knows the basic stuff. So it's not going to work against Juan Adams. I see a huge favorite. I'm going to be putting Juan Adams everywhere. I got TKO. Round number 2, I do think Boulard puts up with it, but coming on that second round, Boulard's going to take a deep breath and throw 3 punches and then say, all right, dude, you got me. Bink. And he's going to go night, night. I think it's a clean KO. Give me Juan Adams everywhere. The line is off. Stack money on Juan Adams. What do you see in this fight and why?
Is Juan Adams the Ngannou of people's dreams, where they're like, if this guy could just wrestle?
Oh.
Is that what he is?
He doesn't have the same power as Ngannou.
I almost think he could have more power once he gets that kind of training, because Ngannou has some looping punches. Juan Adams is just a little more disciplined.
I agree.
And anywhere that I would like Boulard, I just don't like him here. I don't like him at this weight class, and I don't like him against this guy. This is my Bischoff moment. You got one in Juan Adams. Like, you got one. He's
right?
somebody that we're going to crawl up the division the same way that we talk about these guys. Like, when we talked about Ngannou, we're going to watch him do some... He'll be on a main card his next fight. And it's silly. You should have him go against Greg Hardy. That's the fight.
That is a great fight.
And they're both new enough in the thing. It'll be their both third fights in the UFC.
They'll make a name off each other, whoever wins.
I
love that fight, if it's not Derrick Lewis.
I got Adams KO round 2. I could see it happen in round 1. I don't know what he's worth on DraftKings, but I too will put him everywhere. He's a scary MF. He's like a big, black, sexy Khal Drago.
Ooh.
He might be the father of dragons.
I could see him also having just a horse bottom, like from the waist down.
Oh, yeah, he
just
could be a sea horse. He could be a merman. He could be full on Aquaman, new Aquaman.
So this is really interesting that actually the slight favorite, minus 120 right now, Boulard, and we both have a TKO round number 2. So last time we had a submission round number 2 for Gilbert Burns, and that was spot on. So I'm going to probably hammer that prop bet for round number 2 as well, because that's going to be plus money. Probably TKO. And for DraftKings, you're going to end up paying $8,300 for Juan Adams against Boulard, $7,900. Juan Adams everywhere.
Even his wrestling, he has good enough cardio that Boulard doesn't have. And I think people underestimate the size of Juan Adams and strength until they get in up against him. Scary dude in all the good ways. I can't think of a real, he's just going to get crisp. He needs to maybe go out to elevation, maybe go to, AKA, everyone gets hurt out there, right? AKA is the one everyone gets hurt.
Yes, it's
But
true.
maybe, I don't even know what his camp is, but it's that time. I even love that D1 wrestling that you're talking about.
Yeah.
That alone in the heavyweight division.
100% agreed. So at it, it's 8,300. I just feel like 95% because I can't go 100 on anyone in case the craziest thing in the world.
All but 2.
Exactly.
That'll be fine. You can almost put them on all because if they come out with a main card,
he won't be on it.
Televised, he won't be on it.
That's
so
a good
you can almost
point.
put them on all your other.
That's a good point. But I'm going to go heavy in the paint on Juan Adams. I recommend you guys should too. Moving on to 145 pounds, we have Kyle Nelson coming in against Matt Salas. These guys both have fought in the UFC. 7-2 for Salas. He came in and lost his debut against Sherman Moraes on short notice. He won his Contender Series fight via TKO. But Matt Salas has been a name for a long time. He is a little bit small for the 145-pound division. A lot of people think that he can go down to 35, but he's one of these guys that doesn't really look like he cuts a bunch of weight, but he's really athletic. He actually has a really good all-around serviceable game with power in his hands. That Sherman Moraes fight, which I've actually liked what I've seen for Moraes, and he was an underdog in that spot, was a little bit hesitant when I went back and looked at it. There was 4 eye pokes in that fight, first against Salas, and he actually was served with a detached retina after that, and after they had to have surgery is why he spent a little bit of time off at 8 months. He would have come back sooner, but he had damage. Not a point was taken, and he ended up losing that via decision. But Salas all the way around. Great takedown defense, actually. On the ground, we haven't seen him much because he keeps it standing, and his striking is crisp. With Kyle Nelson, he's also lost his debut in the UFC. He's 12-2. He only lost in the UFC against his
Diego
Fiera, who was a short notice replacement 4 months ago, and that was the fight that he needed to get in order to fight in the UFC.
At 155, and this is at 145.
So it was a weight up as well, but he has fought a couple other guys on the RCF scene. Where else is there?
RXF and BTC.
He did beat Jonathan Brookins in a split decision 2 years ago, but that's Brookins, who was a tough house washout. And I do believe earlier in his career he had a win over somebody else, or maybe he had a loss over Kevin Lee. Might have been someone else over the night. But either way, Kyle Nelson is in the same boat as Salas. He's kind of a master, jack of all trades, master of none. He just doesn't have as much punching power as Salas. And takedowns, I think Salas' takedown defense is going to hold up enough. Nelson throws them out there. They're not too regular and they're fairly telegraphed. So I've seen better guys take better shots on Salas and not be able to come through. I'm surprised that actually a lot of people are going with Nelson in this spot, but the betting lines have Salas as a minus 220 favorite. That seems a little steep. I do think like minus 180 would probably be good, but I do know money's been coming in on Salas, and that makes sense to me. I just see Nelson putting in a good fight. They are in Canada, and we do have the American going over. This actually is a fairly Canada versus the world type of fight night, and I really love that they're doing that, but I think we get a dirty split. I think Salas can finish this. It's going to be hard because we're in Canada, and we've had Canada fuck us over sometimes. So that's something that we do have to think about in these type of fights. The local guys, like we just saw here, the Brazilians can't sway some of them judges, so I think Salas has to put a stamp on it. He can, but I see a dirty split coming. Give me Salas. Who do you have in this fight and why?
I have Salas' decision as well. I'm going to stay far away from this fight. I think the line's off. I think both fighters are off. I could see it being a dirty split. I could see it going both ways, but I don't see it being exciting. So if it's not exciting, it's usually not worth a lot of points. So Salas' decision, take it for what it's worth. I'm sorry that he had his retina detached. He is a badass. I know he has a lot of KOs and stuff, but everyone thinks, oh, Kyle Nelson's been knocked out. Matt Sales knocks people out. Line.
Right.
Under 220. That's crazy because Diego Fiera is
a beast.
Yeah, a beast and tenured compared to these dudes. So
totally agree.
I think, yeah, Matt Salas has the power to do it, but Kyle Nelson also wasn't cutting weight for his last fight. We see that affect people if he's a natural 145er, blah, 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 blah. Salas decision, I feel about this one.
Well, how would you feel if you got Matt Salas for 9,100?
Hell to the next.
I totally agree. That's just for a decision, especially a dirty split coming up in there. He pretty much has to finish in the first round or really dominate his opponent. And I think Kyle Nelson can put in a good showing. But at 7,100, I don't think I'm going to expose myself to either one of these guys as far as DraftKings. And again, the line has gotten a little steamed on Salas by this point. At 170 pounds, we have Nordine Taleb coming in against the debuting short notice replacement, Kyle Proplek. Proplek is coming in with a 12-5 record, having a 2-fight winning streak as of late, beating... Who's these guys? Scott Hudson out of the BTC. He just beat Cody Pfister as of late, a month, 3 weeks ago and a day. Beat David Newport.
Thank you for being precise.
You got it. Tapology. And the Cody Pfister fight is UFC caliber, but Cody Pfister looked spent in there. Couldn't take a punch at all. Proplex showed good takedown defense in that fight. Showed that he could adapt in there against Pfister's takedowns, and striking wise, he's looked all right in there, but it's middling competition. Actually has a good clinch in there as well. Had an all right gas tank against Pfister, who's known to be able to push it, and he actually drained Pfister a bit, but that Pfister isn't aging so well all of a sudden. But Nordine Taleb coming in with a 14-6 record at 37 years old. Might be at his best performances as of late with a 2-fight losing streak against Claudio Silva, and then losing to Sean Strickland TKO 6 months ago. But Nordine Taleb tends to be a striker in there, used to be a bouncer. I think he still bounces for some people on the side.
He is French, but he fights out of TriStar. So they're both kind of local guys.
Somewhat local. Taleb does have a big fan base in Canada.
He looks French.
He does. Good kicks for Taleb. Goes to the body, legs, and has a good right hand. Gas tank's all right. His chin has been iffy at 37 years old. He should have enough tricks in his bag of tricks in order to be able to pull this one out. But I'm not as confident as the lines are. I guess this is pretty much a coin flip at near even minus 115. And that's because Propelek, he's gotten in dirty 5-round fights, and he showed a good gas tank in them, and he can adapt in there. This isn't going to be an easy fight for Taleb, even on the short notice replacement, but I do think it's a bit much for the debuter. I'm going to have Taleb, but I don't think I'm going to expose myself much to him on DraftKings because I do see this turning into a decision type of fight. Give me Taleb. Who do you have And why?
I think Taleb decision as well, and the only reason is the stick with what I know rule. That is it. Nothing makes me really excited about this fight. I probably won't have it on too many cards. I will say Windsor, Ontario, Windsor, Canada. I think that's right across from Detroit. There's like a bridge and a tunnel to get there. And
Okay.
so when you're going to college in Ann Arbor, Michigan, like someone I know, myself, Windsor is right across the way. And so you can drink at 18 and just drive. And there was a day that you could go and get like bottles of awesome alcohol for cheaper because there wasn't like the customs gig. So you could go to Canada and you could get Cuban cigars.
Ooh.
Which, yeah, I don't know.
It's legal now. It's legal.
Now it's legal.
It's legal
no
now.
big deal. But it was all this stuff that was so cool to just drive through Detroit over to Windsor. And it's so weird because Detroit is like literally Gotham. And you drive over the bridge to Canada and it's like...
Money.
No, like just chill, like suburb kind of weird. I mean, there's like a casino over there and stuff, and we got pulled over once at the border, and they were like, how much money are you bringing? And I'm like, nothing, I'm gonna use the ATM when I get there. The ATM in the casino, the lady told me at the border, she's like, it's $40 fee to use the ATM in the casino. That was my face. Well, I guess I ain't doing shit in
Yeah, because I'm buying drinks.
Guess I ain't doing shit in Canada. So yeah, we got pulled over and our trunk was ice shut, so they brought out the dogs like we were carrying a body over. It was one of the most scary experiences of my life. Like, you know how everyone always tells you, like, oh, if you go to Mexico or if you go to some, third world country, be careful. You don't want to end up in Haitian jail, Cheney. Be careful. But going to Canada, that was my most scary experience. I thought, oh my God, we are totally getting locked up.
Luckily you made it in order to put out some fat bets.
So that was a
here at LaTB
story.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
So for Taleb in that fight, he's going to be on DraftKings 9,300 against debuting Kyle Propolek at 6,900.
I'm going to press on that. Are you going to play Taleb for 9-4? And that would be all I answered.
Whoopee cushion.
Yeah.
I totally agree for 9-4. I'm going to end up not exposing myself at all to this fight. Oh, 9-3. Maybe Taleb. I don't know if he gets the knockout. No,
I almost think if you think it's Taleb decision, put Kyle Propolek. I think put him on a 1 or 2.
I don't think that's a bad idea as well for a decision. He'll be able to pay that 6-9 off with a
I don't know anything about that kid, but I'm going to stay away from it.
Definitely stay away from that one. At 135 pounds, we have returning fighters with Vince Morales coming off of a loss. 2 losses in the UFC. He had a win at 8-3. He had a win in between those in Bellator, but he lost on the Contender Series to Peralta in one of the Fight of the Years on the... I've been waiting for Peralta to still fight. He still hasn't fight. Morales is on his 4th fight now, and he ended up getting knocked out of the 2 in that fight. So something's going on with that guy, but he was a fun talent. Vince Morales has been just the guy who loses these fights. Journeyman type of status. He's coming in against Firas Zahabi's little brother. And Morales, jack of all trades, master of none, said it a few times, not tons of power on the ground, serviceable, but there's no real area where he really blows you out. Gas tank, serviceable, but again, he just doesn't have that next gear that we've really seen. At 28 years old, he can still grow, and he's still coming into his own. He's a couple years from his prime. Excuse me. But against Zahabi, he's one of these guys that tends to be a striker on the ground, also high level, been training with his brother forever out of TriStar. But the TriStar crew, they haven't been doing so well, have they, lately?
No, they lost their GSP.
They've also lost Duffy. A lot of people, Calderwood. There's been a lot of people
Rory
that have
hasn't had that energy anymore. He doesn't want to hurt people.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you're right. They've lost a lot of their steam.
They haven't been doing well lately, but Firas Zahabi tends to like to keep it Taekwondo striking in there. Lost his last bout to Davi Ramos in a brutal, one of the worst KOs of the year. Do you remember that? Mm-mm. Spinning elbow KO.
Yes, I do.
And Zahabi was out. That elbow was landing, though, a few times, and Ramos was really telegraphing it. So the gas tank, I think, really played a role in that fight for Zahabi, as well as the damage. He was just moving forward to try to smother the fighter without actually countering, which is just something that you got to pay attention to. The 31-year-old, though, isn't at the same time, he doesn't have anything that really wows you. I do think that being the local favorite here, being the Canada TriStar owned, he's going to have a big contingency of fans. If he lands anything, they're going to cheer a little bit more. But I see this turning into a dirty split. And I got Zahabi winning decision. I could wake up and pick Morales, but it's for all the wrong reasons. I'm going to say, big fat stay away. Give me the local. Give me the judges being dirty and playing dirty pool. I got Zahabi, dirty ass split. Who do you have in this fight? And why?
Oh, and we're split too. I got Vince Morales, but I have it just because of the decision loss to Yadong Song is actually a win to me. I think Yadong Song's a good fighter, and Vince Morales, he might have even been on short notice in that fight. I could be totally wrong on that. I don't know. I hardly remember. But I do think that he's just the better fighter all around. I don't know what I like about Zahabi in there, and I don't have any heavy reason. I'm going to stay away from this fight too. I'm going to be real. Any of the ones that I see going to decision, those are never the ones that are great for your card. And I will be honest with you guys, I am betting exactly how I tell you on air, and I am doubling my money every week in the last few weeks by just sticking with a lot of the LaTB rules. So
true.
Is the hobby, I could say stick with what I know, but they're both kind of the same in there, so take that one out. They're both, I like the younger guy a little bit. I just think Morales has a better chin. That's what it boils down to for me when I really go through it. So, yeah, nothing else.
Zahabi's going to be $9,000 on DraftKings against Morales is $7,200. If there's a play there, it's got to be Morales.
I agree. I totally agree.
There's no way for 9,000, so I feel like I'm going to have an easy way to fill up my lines, and this is going to be one of those cards, I feel like, where you're going to have money left over in your DraftKings. You're going to have a couple extra hundred, if not 1,000 left over. That's okay. That's not bad. It's one of the rules I always have.
Every time I try to fill my card with just spending my money, it costs me the fights.
Yep.
Every time. I'm like, I should have just stuck with because it seems weird. You talk yourself out of having $500.
Yeah, you're like, this is why he's so expensive, because he's likely to knock out. I don't know. And when the other fights we tell you to stay with, like the Adams, and then the next fight we're about to talk about, I'm everywhere. Guaranteed.
These are the people you want on your cards.
Yes.
These people, because they're guaranteeing you 110, 120, 130 points. And when you get those kind of points, when you have a snoozer that gets a 30 or even a loss that gets a 29 or something, you still get your money back. And that's a win. That's a win. So anyway.
Totally agree. So that's going to be a fun one. But then we're going to go to the preliminary main event with Sarah Morris coming in against Macy, Chiasson, Baton Rouge's own. Maybe not Baton Rouge. She's Louisiana. Fortis MMA. We've been having a bunch of Fortis MMA guys showing out and really looking good as of late. But the perfect 4-0 fighters coming in with all sorts of hype. She is the truth, though. She won the Contender Series fight against her best friend with a brutal submission. She got power in her hands. She been shot, and she didn't die. She's shows that she can stick in the pocket well on the ground. She's shown good submissions, but, I want to say middling competition, but she's went the hard road. She's done the tough house. She's beat good women in there, and she's still evolving at 27 years old. Against Morris is 5-4. She's lost her last two in the UFC to Bernardo, where I feel like she was a favorite, Pudilova, who's no longer in the UFC, and she got a win over Ashley Evans Smith, submission armbar, but also lost to Jessica Andrade via decision. Andrade really put it on her as well in that one, and ended up surprisingly going to decision. Morris, though, likes to get to the ground. She has telegraphed takedowns, and when she's on the ground, she doesn't really hold top position all that well. She actually gets reversed a lot more times on the ground, so she's had many fights where she's got reversed and then never shot a takedown and just goes to those decisions, where Chiasson on the ground will snipe you, striking, will hit you with that left, and she throws like Amanda Nunes. That's the type of movement she has.
And she got raises at the end of her elbows.
Yeah. So
she got raises on them elbows.
I just see why there's the biggest favorite of the night in a minus 550 for Chiasson, and I think she gets to pick her poison. I think she can do whatever she wants, but I really see is one of those lefts landing, Morris going down to the ground, and Chiasson locking up a submission. So I got submission round number 1. I think it started off with the strikes, but I do think the ground eventually takes over. Give me Chiasson everywhere. I don't care what she's worth. I'm going to have the money. I'm going to pick her. Who do you have in this fight? And why?
Going with Jessica Andrade to decision seems like a feat. You're like, wow, that's Jessica Andrade. Like, she could be a champion. Yeah, Jessica Andrade, who fights at 115. So Sarah Moraes fighting at 135. And I would like to say Macy Chiasson is, in my opinion, the only one true 135er right now. Amanda Nunes has always been heavier. She's had a hard time making the weight. We've seen a lot of the other girls peel down to 125. Macy Chiasson, she's going to be a champion. I think she's the right age to grow. She has a good reach on her. I don't know why, we call Tatiana Suarez the female Khabib. Macy Chiasson is my female John Jones. She just has this long-ass reach. Yep. She's super talented. She has nasty-ass elbows. Something that you always say every time we're watching fights is when you see somebody separate and they give a good knee or an elbow on the way out, that's something that you're like, oh, that person, killer wing IQ, they're going to win. They, and that's what she always does for me. I do think silly Moraes, I don't think she's I don't mean to call her silly, but she's been a punching bag in there of lately, and going with Pudilova is not the same thing for me, and beating Ashley Evans Smith, whatever. It's Ashley Evans Smith on the tail end of her career. Good on ya. But I just think Chiasson is a little more dangerous, and she is going to come in there. She is going to lay heavy stuff. I think Moraes makes it through the first round and then decides it's over, and she's going to get technically knocked out. I see some ground and pound landing, an elbow on the inside, and her turtling right up when she sees the amount of blood gushing out. So, KO, round 2.
On DraftKings, you're going to end up paying $9,400 for Chiasson against $6,800 for Moraes. I'm not going to put Moraes anywhere. This is going to be in the same Juan Adams play where it's non-televised, so it's going to be the only cards I don't have her on is the non-televised, or is the televised cards. So I'm going to put her on everything I can. Everything.
Yeah, she might be on the televised cards, actually.
There's the preliminary main.
I think the prelims, and I could be wrong, because sometimes they move to like the ESPN. I don't know if it's just the 5 fights. It might be. It totally could be. The televised, yeah. Because I feel like some of the prelims before, like if they're before pay-per-view, I don't know. I don't know how many fights is on it. I don't know if it's just 12. 5 at all. No, I don't know how many they put on just the prelims. The main I don't main know card. If it's like the top 2 prelims or if it's just the main card alone. But yeah, I agree with you. Anywhere you can put her. So definitely, all we're asking is you like and subscribe at Zoltanite, at Weakneck Baby. You know you're always going to find us at Lesbo and the Bean. You're getting this for free. You're getting all this free money, free bets, free betting advice. All you got to do is tell a friend. Maybe you laugh sometimes. Maybe you get to shake your fist in the air sometimes and be like, I hate that. They said that. Maybe sometimes you love us. Maybe sometimes you hate us. But maybe all the time you should be going to latherandcompany.com and putting in that code LATB15 and getting your 15% off. Free shipping and handling in the United States of America for now. We're working on our overseas click and seeing how that goes. But, Mother's Day is coming up. I'm sure if you have a girl, she has a birthday.
I think the Mother's Day present, it comes pre-wrapped, fellas. It comes pre-wrapped. And then is there some beard bombs that I saw in there the other day? Am I wrong on that?
I don't know if they have beard bombs. Maybe. Look, maybe go to latherandcompany.com and check it out. Yeah, but you're so right.
As far as a gift, you just got to come out of the spare room and just be like, I got this for you.
And it's ladies, done. You know what? We always talk to the dudes on the show. We got a lot of lady listeners. We do. Hey, get something for yourself. Soak in a bath.
Or get some for your man.
Or get some for your lady.
Or for your
whatever.
True.
So get some for your mama. You all got mamas, and if you don't, I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Very true.
Yeah, that sucks. But if you don't, you know what you could do? Get a bath bomb and sit in a soak and think about her. Sit in a soak and think about her. You smell good. They probably have a scent that would remind you of her. You'd be like, Gardenias remind me of my grandma. They got that.
And when you got a fat DK wallet going on because of us, you can thank everybody all the way around.
And we only have the one sponsor right now, but the more you support our one sponsor, the more sponsors we get. The more sponsors we get, the better the sound quality gets and video quality gets, and maybe the more we can come at you. And hey, life happens again. We told you last week that we were going to be on time, and we're going to be on time. I shouldn't say always, but we're going to be here for you every time we can. So
Twice a
we're
week.
here. We're a day late, but still enough time for you to get on your DraftKings. Not a sponsor. Get on. I don't even know if FanDuel has that shit, but you can get on your Bovada or wherever you.
Truth.
But latherandcompany.com, Lappy15. That's all I have to say about that.
Main card time. We got a profile fight with Andrew Sanchez coming in against debuting Mark Andrei Baralti. How would you pronounce that last name? The Power Bar. Barrialt.
I'm not even going to try.
Power Bar himself is coming.
Power Bar. Put your dick away, sir. Put your dick away.
Weird. No, this isn't a bathroom. This is a house plant. What
I
are you
think
doing?
Lather and Company has a power bar. I think they have a soap bar. I don't know. I'm making that up.
Oh, dang. I was going to say that sounds like a good bar. But Andrew Sanchez comes in with a 10-4 record, getting a win as of late against Marcus Perez 8 months ago, but having 2 losses against Ryan James, which Lesbo had on there. That was a grimy ass fight. You remember that Ryan James fight? That was dirt fight. He also has a loss in there to Anthony Smith in a fight he was winning in the 3rd round. Finally got KO'd by Anthony Smith, the bigger man there. But he's beat Trevor Smith decision. Khalil Roundtree actually won the tough house, did Sanchez, against Roundtree, where he wrestled him into oblivion. Sanchez likes to get his wrestling going. Throws 3 to 4 takedowns out there per round. If he gets them down, he has great top control. But what we've seen regularly with Andrew Sanchez is he doesn't have tons of power. His striking's getting better, but he's just never going to have that one-shot power to knock you down. He definitely likes to wrestle, and in that 3rd round, he just falls off. There's been multiple times where they're like, man, this guy looks like he can go for days. And all of a sudden, Ryan James is in it in the 3rd round because he's not as gassed as Andrew Sanchez.
Ryan James.
Exactly. So he's been able to get that cardio a bit better under him against Perez, but Perez is also a guy who tends to gas pretty hard. And that's really the avenue against Sanchez. Well, other than knocking him clean out because his chin is a little testy in there. But Power Bar is going to have an uphill batter. He's not as good of a wrestler. He's going to get taken down in there, but his cardio has held out. He's one of these guys that usually I've seen gives up the 1st round in the tape I was seeing. But at distance striking, not so good. In the clinch is where he really likes to make his money. He has good knees to the body, good kicks to the lower outside, and really has worn out at level competition with his 11-1 record at the TKB scene. He's fought guys with 7-1 records. He actually has fought at level competition and fought the toughest guys in his area. He just hasn't come down to the States, but he hasn't fought nobodies. He's fighting 7-1, 7-4 type fighters. And again, the tape I saw on him, they weren't bad. They weren't flailing around in there. Both of these guys had their wits about him, and he's actually a fairly smart fighter. For his debut, this is definitely a tough fight, but something that I saw Beirut, or what is it, Baralt? Power Bar. I saw Power Bar in there against other wrestlers, regional wrestlers that actually had a really good gas tank on him going into that 3rd round. And he proved it that he's really like a Cerrone type of guy. His 3rd round usually is his best round. And that's usually Andrew Sanchez's worst round is that 3rd round. So I think that this is one of these fights that Power Bar is losing until he wins, and I think he gets it done in the 3rd round. I think one of these knees lands on the inside, and it's going to be a hell of a debut for the 29-year-old. Give me an underdog. If you didn't need another one, here you go. Who do you have in this fight, and why?
I'm going to pick Sanchez only with the stick with what I know rule. I just don't like when a guy comes out and knocks out the last 2 guys he's fought, and then the 2 fights before that he has 2 split decisions in a row. That gives me the sense that he has friends in high places that are pulling for him in weird ways. Like, it just gives me like, here's some 2 fights that sketchy judging decisions that go split, and then here's 2 fights that may or may not have been set up, and then you're going against Sanchez, which I do not like that he got knocked out by Ryan James at all. But losing to Anthony Smith at 185 isn't that bad to me. Anthony Smith is a natural 205er.
Yeah.
He could even go to heavyweight. He has fast hands. So he did win his last fight. He's taking enough time off. I just welcome to the UFC Power Bar. He seems to have crazy good hands, but he's knocking out guys that are
Not UFC.
not to the caliber.
Right.
And he's a kung fu fighter, which makes me a little nervous. Like, what do you get? You said the second you said Andrew Sanchez, he makes his money inside the clinch. I'm like, does he have any ground game at all? Because if he does, going against a guy who's a stand-up fighter, that could be very dangerous for cardio, for the power of Marc-Andre Barriault.
I would say that Sanchez on the ground is more of a position over submission type of a fighter. So I'm not worried about the submission as much, but that's the avenue for sure for Sanchez to win, is just get on top and grind him out. Like I'm saying, I agree with you. If this doesn't go to knockout, Sanchez is winning decision in my eyes.
Yeah, I think I have Sanchez decision, but I could honestly see myself not going heavy on that, like 1 or 2, and then going maybe 1 or 2 for Barriault, because I think the points might be in this fight. If it goes to decision, it's going to be crap points.
I agree.
Ugh, I'm going to stay away from this, honestly. Another fight I'm going to stay away from. I don't know if it's going to be as good as you think. I think it might be good for 3 or 4 minutes. And then
turn into a slop fest. I could see that happening as well. Andrew Sanchez on DraftKings, though, is going to come in as the slight favorite, minus 140, 8,700 on DraftKings against Barriault's 7,500 plus
Dirty
110.
Baby, I got your money. Power bar.
The El Dirty is coming in against the Power Bar. I am actually going to play Power Bar in a couple spots there. Probably around 30 to 40%, as you're saying. He's the guy I think that could show out and maybe have that knockout out of the 2, but just could submit. Stay away is probably the best rule on that one. At heavyweight, we have Walt Harris returning against debuting Sergey Spitvaka. The perfect 9-0 fighter is coming in.
Maker.
Is coming in with a perfect 9-0 record. The Polar Bear beat Tony Lopez as of late. Ian Cooks. Travis Fulton,
Holy
who
shit.
has 255 fights. Is that a Russian record?
Holy shit. No, he's fought total, just professionally, you guys, 312 fights. No, wait, 317 fights.
Because he has 255 wins.
52 losses, and 10 draws.
And he was managed to get choked out by Polar Bear himself.
He's 127 years old.
So a little inflated there. Then he also beat the 17-9 fighter. But Tony Lopez with a 61-28 record. I saw that Lopez fight, and Lopez is 55 years old.
Even if I just saw that 61-28 record, I'd be like, God damn!
Yeah,
hang up the gloves, homie. Hang up the gloves.
It looked like his knees were being held together by tape and freaking knee wraps, and it was just definitely middling competition. Not even good at best, but Spitka looked good in there. He was throwing elbows. He was actually, as you were saying, throwing elbows on a lot of the exits and stuff. But the competition he's fighting, they all gassed out pretty much after that first round as well. And he was able to really get it going and just start to pick up a lot of these guys. He did have some longer fights in there. On the ground, he's serviceable as well. But again, just the competition level he's been fighting has been really, really low. At 24 years old, he's going to have a huge growing experience because he's actually going to meet a at-level UFC heavyweight that is Black Explosive, who can throw a head kick out of nowhere at you. Walt Harris is one of these heavyweights that throws a high left kick out of nowhere. And if it catches you, ask anybody, it'll put you right down. The 12-7 fighter is coming off of a 2-fight winning streak. Split decision win over Andrei Arlovsky 4 months ago. Prior to that, he beat Daniel Spitz TKO, but he did lose to Mark Godbeer in an illegal kick, and then also lost to Verviso Verdum, short notice. That isn't so bad. He was a replacement there against Verdum, but everybody knew what was going to happen there. Spitka, though, is definitely just gonna have a rude awakening here. I see Walt Harris having better hands, better takedown defense. The better clinch is to Spitka. If Walt Harris gets pushed up against the fence and turned into a grinding match, I could see Harris getting beat apart with knees and elbows. Spitka, he'll do that. He will, what is that? What's his name? Johnny Walker did to Roundtree. He'll cup the head and throw that elbow.
Oh, shit.
So that shit it's sneaky. It's sneaky. He does have some good strikes in there, but I think Walt Harris can take it. I'm going to go Harris. decision right now. I could move that into a finish later on. I'm actually fairly tentative on this. I don't know why the 35-year-old Walt Harris gets into dirty fights. Andrei Arlovsky split decision. If he losing to Godbeer, not good. It was an illegal kick, so not so bad, but...
Yeah, he was winning that fight the whole time up until the illegal kick. And Andrei Arlovsky, that we've even seen of late, has been so much smarter.
He should have won his last
well-rounded. Yeah, he's just a well-rounded guy. So that doesn't play as hard against me anymore. And I can't remember, but I feel like Walt Harris, I felt like he should have won. I don't know anything about Spivak, and maybe he's going to be a really fun guy in the division. Tall, long. I'm going to pick Mark Harris here for KO round 2, only for UFC skills. It makes me get nervous if this guy is some kind of submission ace, but I got to think, being at American Top Team, they're telling Walt Harris everything he needs to know. So if he goes in there and listens to his corner, he should be pretty safe in this fight. Harris KO round 2, if it goes past that... I don't even think we see a dirty split because it's a Ukrainian guy. It's not even a Canadian. So stick with what I know. Maybe on 30% of my cards.
I like the finish prop as well. I'm going to go TKO round number 3. But yeah, I'm going to be iffy on that. Walt Harris on DraftKings is the slight favorite at minus 170, 8,900 against the underdog debuting Spivak, 7,300. If there's one out of the two, it'll be Harris I'm going to put on there, but probably in that 30-40% range as well. These are heavyweights. Heavyweight's going to heavyweight. So if there's an underdog that can just throw something out there and hurt you, Spivak's got some good elbows. Just throwing that out there. Just be wary of that. Then we moved to 135 pounds where we have a profile fight. This is definitely a fan-friendly one with Brad Katona coming in against Merab Dvalishvili. Katona came in, won the Contender Series, or the Tough House Canada, then debuted in the UFC, beating Matt Lopez, has a perfect record in there, beating all sorts of other Tough House, Bryce Mitchell via submission rear naked choke. Mitchell's gone on a little run here as of late as well. So Katona, it was an engineer. He's got a little bit of that weird accent, but a great athlete coming out of Straight Blast Gym, Ireland. He was at TriStar for a while as well, and I know he's bounced around. Both teams, TriStar and Straight Blast Gym, both haven't been doing that well, huh?
I guess that's true. Well,
Gunny isn't there anymore.
Oh,
yeah, he left.
That was all I was about to say.
But
you know what? I don't think Connor's there anymore.
Yeah, he's not. But I'm just saying the gyms, who else is out of there doing it? It was only that group, like Calderwood, all those guys, Houlihan, all those guys, and now not anymore.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone.
So interesting how he's kind of been in between two camps that maybe haven't been producing as of late, but these things happen. Gyms come in and out of style. It's the ones that stick around forever that you know are good. So TriStar's definitely up there. They still have quality competition. Katona, though, being the local Canadian, is going to have a bit more pop in there against Dvalishvili, 8-4, coming out of Georgia. He's out of that Serra Longo camp, coming in with Iaquinta. Have you seen any photos of Dvalishvili coming into Canadian territory on Instagram?
Yes, I've been looking at Iaquinta's Instagram.
Nice. Did he remind you of anyone as of late?
No.
Oh, because I was going to say that boomerang that was lodging Colby Covington's ass ended up on his face. That nose was busted in that last Instagram shot I saw of him.
I don't follow Dvalishvili. I only saw...
he was in Al's picture, but I saw Dvalishvili's nose like...
Oh, I just saw a group of them. I just saw a group of them all together, and I was like, is that Dvalishvili? Mm-hmm. But I was unsure if it was him or not. So that is the only validation that I have just now that it was him in the picture.
But his nose was so jacked up, you're like, ah.
No, it was really, I think his hair's a lot shorter. He looks almost bald.
Yes, it is thinner than in the photo that we're seeing currently now. But yeah, he's one of these guys who... It says he's 28. He's looking more like 38. But, you know, he's Russian. He's Jordanian. Whatever tags you got on there. But Dvalishvili comes in with a heavy wrestling game plan. Striking, he's got good movement on the outside. He more peppers you with a quick jab in there. Throws an overhand right. But he really wants to really set up those outside knee picks. Go for the double single leg and beat you with a ton of pressure and just wear you into the ground, not really let stuff get going on you. And one of his losses was controversial. It was against Ricky Simone in a fight that he was easily winning, and in the last second was submitted. A lot of people saying that the ref actually asked him to lay down. So I had Simone in that fight. betting-wise, it worked out for me, but I did think Dvalishvili probably won that fight. And as of late, against Terrion Tupperware, he ended up winning a decision, and it was a heavy duty on the DraftKings because this guy likes to throw out upwards of 17 takedowns a fight. He's pretty much throwing a shot a minute, a takedown a minute, and if he doesn't get it, he chain wrestles really, really well. Striking-wise, though, Katona does have the advantage here. He has good team kicks, has a good game plan, and being an engineer, I don't know how much credit I give to it, but he is smart in there. He can game plan, and I like the way that he thinks inside there, but he's, to me, been a little bit underwhelming. There has been a ton of hype on him, and that Matthew Lopez decision as of late was a good one, but it was harder fought than I had initially anticipated, and I think a lot as well. He was a big favorite there, and it was pretty much a dirty split. But I think here, Dvalishvili comes in enemy territory and is able to use that grind ability. Katona has power, but I think the submission is where he's going to be most dangerous in Dvalishvili, even though it happened against Simon. I don't think it happens again. Give me the Jordanian minus 150 favorite, Dvalishvili decision. I think I'm going to play him on DraftKings because somebody who averages 17 takedowns a fight, it's going to add up 3 times 17.
Averages 17?
Doesn't average. No. But that's like, no.
Yeah, you have to put him anywhere,
Yeah.
regardless. It doesn't matter whether he wins or loses.
But he has
That's
outputs
like
of upwards.
70-something points on takedowns
Alone, right? And then all the little peppering strikes.
I don't know how I feel about Dvalishvili. I feel like he's just been kind of lackluster since he's came into the UFC and he's losing to guys. Even though I know, he was winning that whole fight against Ricky Simone for 14 minutes. But then he lost it. And he was asleep. Like, I rewatched that fight just this week, and I'm like, damn, that motherfucker was cold out. His eyes were like, good. Like, he was all the way out. So it wasn't even, Saved by the Bell. Terrion Ware, I don't know if Dvalishvili could win that again. Like,
really?
I really like everything that I'm seeing from Terrion Ware of late. I like Brad Katona, and I can't remember in my brain if I'm going to have to go back. I am pulling up my last time because I'm like, did I like him or not last fight? One prediction, Brad Katona decision.
And that's what happened.
And I have Brad Katona decision again. I think he can pull it out again. I think he can lay enough hands, and if the point fighting is where the judges are at, Brad Katona's kind of that guy. I don't know how much power he's going to have, but I think he might have the better cardio. I think Dvalishvili, he throws everything in. He's easily going to win the first round, but if Brad Katona can fight off those takedowns for just that first round, I think he's going to be all right, and I think he can pull out the next two by just being smart. I could change this. Make sure you're following us everywhere to get our final cards, but right now, Katona decision. And I know I should go with the wrestler. That's the thing I keep hearing in my brain.
Yes.
That's a new rule of yours. Go with the wrestler. Stay away from that straight blast gym and that straight blast one punch power. Like, I know. But Brad Katona with his glasses on I'm like...
Cutesies.
Yeah, it's just Clark Kent. And then off Superman. Clark Kent Superman.
Katona being the underdog at plus 120 on DraftKings, 7,600 against Dvalishvili. Minus 150, 8,600 on DraftKings. I actually think you could put either one of these guys on your cards. I think Dvalishvili can put a lot of points on, and if Katona gets a win, I think that there is a ton of transitions as well, reversals, a lot of good stuff. I'm going to probably expose myself a bit more to Dvalishvili, but there is going to be some Katona cards in there. I think that either one of these guys has a shot to score well as far as DraftKings.
I totally agree with you. Even for the prices, I think the prices are kind of dead on what they should be, because Katona is going to be mostly peppering strikes, where Dvalishvili is going to be takedown.
Would you stack this? I don't know
No.
okay.
No.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't put these guys on the same card. One or the other.
If Katona is doing okay, then
he's going to pay off
isn't
7-7.
making his points. Yeah,
Right.
so... I think still Katona more. I don't see him getting finished here. I see this going to decision either way, and I see one guy getting 2 rounds and the other guy getting 1. Like, that's. But I think it's going to be a good fight. I think this is actually a premier fight and one of the ones I'm very excited to watch.
Totally agree.
Maybe the fight of the night, but
totally agree.
usually for Merab Dvalishvili, he doesn't tend to pull that. He has those like that grind style where that could be style. But hey, we're noticing that the fans, especially if somebody's going to appreciate it, it's going to be Ontario.
Definitely. At 145 pounds, we have Cub Swanson coming in against Shane Burgos. This is a fun one as well. This could be fight of the night. Cub Swanson coming in with a 25-10 record against Burgos' 11-1, only losing to Calvin Katona as a big favorite there. Then, as of late, winning against Kurt Hollabaugh in submission. But this Tiger Schulman disciple has got a Vidro Pepe as well. Got a couple high finishes in there. He throws with power. Burgos is one of these guys who tries to rip your head off. Tons of power. His sprawls are also incredibly strong and powerful. One of the things, though, that has been a little bit of the issues for Burgos is getting later into the rounds. He starts to slow down a little bit, and his chin. He's gotten hurt in quite a few fights, and even in that Hollabaugh fight, the reason he got a submission was because Hollabaugh dropped him with a left hand, and then Hollabaugh came in to start striking, and he snatched up a armbar off of his back. So Burgos for a split second there was like, is he out? Is he out? Oh no, he's good. But I was shitting my pants there as I think like 9,000 he was on or more on DraftKings. So Burgos' chin has really started to look a little bit iffy there, and the competition's getting a little bit stiffer. Cub Swanson, consummate professional. We know where we're getting with this guy with 25 wins, a lot of those being in the UFC, WEC days. He goes in, throws spinning shit, good gas tank, good body shots, good knees, good clinch. I mean, jack of all trades, master of none. His biggest weakness is probably the lack of power.
I thought you were going to say training with TJ Dillashaw.
It was coming. It was coming because that was one of his biggest friends for a long, long time. And hey, until he gets caught, he's making money for me. Until he gets caught. So it's one of those situations.
If I'm Cub Swanson, I start saying, I got that EPO cardio. If you know you're clean, I would throw it up all the time. Like, when I hit you, it's going to be like a juiced motherfucker hit you.
But that EPO doesn't help the power. Cub Swanson tends to get it done more with submissions in there as well, especially later on in his career. He does have a 3-fight losing streak, but these guys are so much higher competition level than Burgos is seen in there. Brian Ortega in a fight he was winning until he got submitted. Frankie Edgar, which he just cannot beat. And then last Moicano.
Bust Cub.
Yep.
But he hasn't had a good win in a long time. Even the guys he's beating are all guys that are questionably UFC caliber.
Oh, the guys he's beating.
Yes.
Not the guys he's losing to, because the guys he's losing to are top level.
The guys he's losing to are going to beat everyone. If I went in against them, I'm going to have Cub Swanson's record. I think Cub Swanson's busted.
Interesting.
Busted.
The Jackson Wink guy. You think
he's not at Jackson Wink. He's out at the training lab with our boy TJ. And I didn't think TJ looked great in his last fight. Winning to Artem Lobov, I don't think he's UFC caliber. Du Hoi Choi, I know everyone loved that fight, but that even says to me about how brutal it was and how long it went. I don't know if that's great, especially at Cub's age. It just shows me that Choi doesn't have power. And then we saw Choi in the following fight after that. It wasn't great for him. Hakran Diaz, Kawajiri.
Yeah, Kawajiri's a big one.
Losing to Max Holloway, losing to Frankie Edgar, losing to Brian Ortega, losing to Frankie Edgar, losing to Moicano. Cool, everyone's going to lose to those guys.
Sure.
But the guys you're beating aren't any better than Burgos. Burgos could go in against all those guys I just said and maybe pull out the exact same thing, maybe a win. But I just don't think I just think the body doesn't move like it used to at 35, and especially at this weight class.
Especially with the career of Cub Swanson, he's literally broken his face. He has staples holding his face together.
I love Cub. I just, at this age, I also don't think he has the power in this division to finish Burgos like this chin. If he is chinny, Calvin Katona is one to watch coming up the division. So getting knocked out by him, and it's been a long enough time that he did. I know you're right. He was hurt in that Hollabaugh fight. Yeah. I just do not think Cub has that kind of power. I would love everything we've seen with the UFC is all these old guys are coming out again and having their second run.
Third win.
I don't think Cub
has it.
If he gets it, I hope he retires. I know everybody loves Cub too much to say that, but I don't want to see Cub in another Du Ho Choi war. I love him too much. I don't want to see that for him anymore. He's laid such a good legacy. Just because you can keep the body tight, I don't think that. I mean, he looks good too. Like, his body looks maybe better than it ever has. I think everything about him physically looks good, but I don't like him in there. And Shane Burgos is an animal.
So I'm going to go with Cub Swanson decision. I got the underdog in this fight. I know what you're saying.
Under?
He is a plus 135 underdog. He's also going to be 7,400 on DraftKings against Burgos, 8,800 minus 170 favorite. Who do you officially pick in this fight?
I know, since I interrupted you. And
no, you're fine.
The whole breakdown about.
I thought you made sense. I think you made sense totally, and I agree.
5-5 on Cub. 5-5. That is not great. So it's got to, that's not even enough to tell me anything. That's like I never voted on Cub.
It's one of those. If Burgos wins, it's more than likely a knockout. It's more than likely a knockout, so he would be able to pay off that 8,800 potentially. But Cub can grind it. We like that wrestling grind, and Cub can do it.
I'm 4-1 with Burgos. That's a lot.
It was probably the only fight you got wrong was the Qatar fight.
No, I had Qatar.
Oh my gosh, really?
I had Qatar in that fight. The only one I got wrong was against Charlie Rosa, the decision way back when. So I feel good about my Burgos pick. I'm going to go with Burgos. Now let me see. I have to figure out how to get back to that screen so I know how I see the finish going. I think I just have Burgos decision. I see him winning round 1 and 2. And then Cub just having the ring IQ, having the ability, being a jack of all trades, handling round 3, but just not having enough power to finish it after that. So just getting that round, I don't see being enough. But like you're saying, Canada could be a little biased. And if they're going to lean biased, they're going to lean toward Cub.
Totally.
So I have Burgos decision, but who knows? Who knows? I like that we're all split up all over the place.
I agree. This is a fun one, and the lines are close.
I feel like we're going to split again on this fight. I don't even know what you have on the next one coming up, but
Oh, it's a good one. The co-main event of the night at 185 pounds, we have profile fight.
Oh, wait, what's the Cub line in Shane Burgos? What's the...
Oh, on DraftKings, it was 7,400 on Cub and 8,800 for Burgos.
Ooh, I think the money might be on Cub.
On Cub there, if it's a decision.
I don't see it being finished. Cub has a decent chin.
Yep. So I could see myself, like I'm saying though, Burgos might be able to finish it as well. So I'll probably put Burgos on 1 or 2, but Cub will be right on 4 or 5.
But I also have to say, which our fans probably already know, one of your OG most favorite fighters.
Cub Swanson.
Take
it was what it is. True. That
was like the first thing I ever knew about fighting when I first started learning their names. I said, "Who's your favorite of one of all these guys?" Cub Swanson.
It was back in the day, but it's changed.
Day now. Look, I've been watching a long time.
It's changed since then. He was definitely an up and comer, but at 185 pounds, again the co-main event, we got Derek Brunson coming in against Elias Theodorou. Theodorou, the prince himself, the Spartan. Ring Boy is coming in with all sorts of jobs. He's sponsored by Perk Plus. He's got all sorts of modeling contracts and actually has been spending most of his time really being a big proponent for medical marijuana for athletes. He's really been pushing a lot of the anti-inflammation and just beneficial or the benefits that medical marijuana can have for some of these guys with their arthritis in their knuckles and knees, because that hurts when you punch somebody for a living. You feel it. So the 16-2 fighter is coming in off a stellar record. He ended up winning the Canadian Tough House, ended up winning via submission against Uriah Hall, was it? And maybe not Uriah Hall, but was one of the guys, I remember you watching the season. He was the guy
Elias?
Was it Elias? He was like, I don't get hit, that's why I'm so pretty.
Yeah, he did say that on his
season back in the day.
He didn't win his season.
Oh, he didn't?
No, you know who I feel like won? And I could be so off on this. I feel like it was like Laprice. Or somebody crazy. It was all the Canada guys.
You might be right on that.
Or Aubin Mercier. He was on the same season as the Spartan. I could be crazy, but I feel like it was Chad Laprice. And that is nonsense.
You might be right on that.
I'm going to look it up.
You might totally be right on that. But we know what we get with the Spartan. He's had multiple fights in the UFC now. Coming off of a good little 3-fight winning streak, has only lost to Brad Tavares' decision over a year, 9 months ago. But he has wins over Cesar Ferreira decision, Dan Kelly, Trevor Smith, and Eric Anders, your boy, as of late, in a dirty-ass split decision more months ago, where the Bean was telling you how to pick that fight, was telling you Anders doesn't have a high output, and just because Theodorou throws garbage kicks out there, it looks like he's doing more, especially if he's in around Canada. He's one of these guys who's more of a fan favorite. People know his face more. They're going to cheer for him more, and against a low volume striker, he's just always going to look like he's doing more, even though he's not landing necessarily more. Throws a wall of kicks to keep you at distance. Okay, strikes, puts the fingers in the eyes a little bit, and actually has pretty good takedown defense as well as cardio. Theodorou is serviceable. He's just not one. He doesn't have knockout power. Yes, he's knocked out a few guys, but he doesn't really go to it as much. He does tend to go to decision more than anything. DraftKings-wise, doesn't add up much in his fights as well. And against Derek Brunson, the 18-7 fighter, the former Strikeforce contender, has coming off of a 2-fight losing streak to Jacare Souza and Israel Adesanya, both of those being finishes. He did beat, though, Lyoto Machida and Dan Kelly as well. That Anderson Silva fight was a split decision, and I thought Brunson won that fight, but Brunson only really is losing to some pretty high-level guys up there in Anderson Silva and Souza, as well as Adesanya. But as you like to say with Derek Brunson, it looks like he got roller skates on his feet when he's in there. He's one of those type of guys that will run at you with a 7-punch combination, but it looks like the floor slippery. He's just slipping all over the place, and it works. It blitzes. It really catches people off guard because they're not used to being that blitzed. So he's able to land left hands against Uriah Hall, against these other guys that you can just kind of catch off guard. But against a good defensive technical fighter, they're going to be able to weather the storm. And once he starts to slow down, once that athleticism starts to break a little bit, Derek Brunson's head movement turns to trash. His cardio and even his game plan, he grabs for takedowns. Even though he's a D1 wrestler, he really just kind of
the final
uses
was
his
Chad
strength.
Laprise versus Elias Theodorou, and he lost to Laprise. And
You're
I
right.
was looking
Good call.
through all of
Good call.
Wikipedia, and I'm like, it is not on these, like going through like Kamaru Usman, Tim Elliott, and I'm like, it was between the what the hell? And then they had a whole nother section for the Brazil,
Wow.
Canada.
Good research.
Weird with Chad Laprise.
Right, being the end-up guy who ended up winning that against Elias. But this is one of those that if Brunson doesn't get it done in the first, if not, I want to say 2 minutes into the second round, it starts to turn as a Theodorou's fight. And I do think that Theodorou gets a dirty-ass split. I think Brunson wins the first round, but the only guy who's really been able to put it on Theodorou and get him out of there has been Thiago Santos, and he didn't even get it. It was a cut, but I think it went to decision. Maybe it was a cut stoppage, but either way, Theodorou can take these blitzes. He's seen these blitzes from other guys. He actually puts up a really high guard and doesn't care. He'll let you tee off and step out, turn and run. It's not a fan-friendly style, but it'll get you the dubs. I feel like Theodorou, I got his number. He can beat the type of fighter like Derek Brunson, but Derek Brunson against anybody has that flash knockout potential with the way he strikes. But I do think Theodorou weathers the storm.
Almost against anyone but Theodorou. He has such a damn good chin. He takes such a crazy amount of punches. No one can land anything. We see fighters get frustrated more and more often. You know I'm a Theodorou hater these days. But I'm still picking him in this fight. And I did have Brunson going into it for power, but he's only going to do that against an older, chinny guy. Yes, Derek Brunson is going against the best of the best guys. Like, if he's losing to somebody, it is a guy that could be a champion in any other organization. But we just seen him in war after war after war, and frankly, Spartan, his style is similar to me as an Adesanya. He's going to keep distance from you and then kick you, and then lay a couple punches, run out of the way like you're saying. Mm-hmm. He keeps distance well with his legs to pepper off strikes, and he usually frustrates the fighter. So I think he lays back the first round like you're saying. I even think he could finish it, which we haven't seen Elias do in a while. But because Israel Adesanya finished it, we're going to watch this guy go forward. He's an awesome tacticianer, but we're not going to see a lot of power from him in this division. Derek Brunson is chinny AF because he runs himself exhausted trying to get that knockout really fast, and it's just not happening for him. I think he's a head case in there at this point, and I almost feel like this is a setup fight for Elias. You're in Canada. Here's a knockout to a chinny guy who likes to get head kicked. Boom. I'm going to...
Wow.
Elias, KO, round 2.
Wow, I have decision. So if you're
I
following
could move it to round 3 because of your
No.
decision. I like the Spartan KO. I just see the Spartan finishing this.
I agree. It's later. I could see Theodorou getting the knockout here as well, and I do think it's in the later rounds. So I don't think you're wrong there. This is definitely a fun fight. On DraftKings, you're gonna end up paying $8,200 for Derek Brunson, the slight minus 125 favorite against the minus 105 underdog Elias Theodorou at 8,000. We're agreeing on this one, at least for the underdog.
I really had Brunson going into it, but the more I think about this fight, I just see Brunson on roller skates chasing a guy who likes to run. Like,
Thank you.
Perfect. This is exactly what Elias does. And when you're like, I have his number, you're right. You fucking do have his number. You probably never called it one fight wrong.
I might be wrong on that. I'll double check my
I'm saying
specific
it. You didn't
sense.
say it. I'm saying it. I don't think you've ever called an Elias fight wrong, unless maybe it was his first fight against Chad LaPree.
LaPree might be the one. Yeah,
but,
that might be it.
He's kind of he's a smart guy with a decent chin and doesn't give a shit about the booze, and he's charming enough that he's just looking for the lady fans. That's why he's a ring boy. He doesn't give a shit if all the gentlemen in the ring boo, and you know where they're not going to boo him? Canada. So this is perfect.
I'm 8-2 on 10 picks out of Elias Theodorou. I've picked 8 of his fights right, 2 of them wrong.
That's still pretty
I'd say that's pretty high percentage.
I'm 5-4, so I'm going with you on that one. I'm changing it right from Derek Brunson, and it might be time for Derek Brunson to get on out.
Time to get out of here, my friend.
Got that Cub Swanson age going on. 35, stay alive.
Oh, so at 8,000, do you think you're going to put Theodorou in a lot of spots? Because I don't see this being a high scorer unless that finish really comes.
I don't, but I kind of feel comfortable with him not losing the decision, especially in Canada, and I don't see him getting knocked out. So I do think I might put the Spartan on a few, and he's not a high scorer. What's his average point?
70 points isn't bad.
That's not bad at all.
For 8,000?
Because he's a pepper fighter, and like you're saying, he frustrates the shit out of fighters.
Everybody.
Because he does run. He turns all the way around.
Yep. Turns and runs, and people will even boo at that, but it don't matter. It gets him the dubs. That's what happens. Especially in Canada. Do you think the judges are going to care? They'll be like, nah, that's what you do, right?
And Derek's going to be pissed, too. He's going to get so frustrated. He's going to punch himself out in the first 2 minutes.
Yep, 100% agreed. So that's going to be a fun one.
And even after the Anders fight, which I'll never pick Eric Anders again. That's not a good win for me. That he won, or Trevor Smith, like a lot of the Spartans wins. But Derek Brunson ain't beating anyone better these days. So go with the younger guy. Pick the Spartan. I don't see him getting finished.
How much do you think you're going to end up putting Spartan on there?
30 to 50. Because I don't have a lot of guys that I feel comfortable going with. This probably won't, the more I say it, I'll probably only do 4 cards, but I'm going to go heavy, do some big cards. And then there's only a couple fighters that I trust them enough to put on my card. So, Elias, you my boy, Blue.
Wow, interesting.
You going on my cards.
I'm going to put him on 50% of my cards, 40% of my cards, somewhere in there. But then we get to the main event at 155 pounds. If you haven't liked the video, if you haven't subscribed or told a friend, right now's the best time because there's underdogs all over this card. Both of us have all sorts of underdogs. There's money to be made. DraftKings, straight up bets, prop bets. There's going to be some free bets coming out this week. Guaranteed. You're welcome. All we ask is get the word out there. Let everyone know. As soon as people, listen to the show, they're always like, oh, wow. I really like you guys. You guys were doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. We always get nice little feedback, and we appreciate it.
We do. Thank you very much.
It.
Thank you very much, Twitter community out there. It is heard and appreciated.
And Instagram and the emails and
YouTube comments as well. Yeah. And emails as well.
I know Twitter isn't what it used to be. We
got to adapt and overcome. And one of those guys who's done it best is Donald Cerrone.
Very well.
We don't, and I'm okay with that.
I am too. I'm not a Facebooker.
Agreed.
I don't even have a personal Facebook, so yeah, move on from that. Your parents are on it. It's not the cool club. Facebook's the Studio 54 of social media.
100. Is that Roxbury?
Yeah, that's the night of the Roxbury of social media.
Yeah, exactly. Who's gonna be in there?
Don't hurt me.
If Richard Grieco,
don't hurt me.
If Richard Grieco's got a Facebook, I don't want to be a part of it. I'm just saying.
I know. What? Johnny Depp, 21 Jump Street, 21 Jump Ship.
So, one of those guys who didn't jump ship over time, Donald Cerrone, also fighting with Cub Swanson back in the WEC days. One of the most veteran fighters of all time, 35-11. Has been getting all sorts of wins in the UFC for a very long time. We know what we're getting with the Cowboy. We getting that patented Budweiser drinking, bike flipping, Muay Thai fighting, baby making, Cowboy Cerrone. He's definitely gone on a run as of late, and it's been a 2-fight winning streak against Mike Perry and Alexander Hernandez. 3 months ago, he really tooled up Hernandez, being an underdog there. Cashing out, if you listen to LaTB, saying Cerrone in that one. But we really
and being
saw
the only people on the planet to not have him against Till. Just a reminder.
100% agreed. With this fight, it really is interesting because both of these guys are really good in their own ways. The striking, we always know with the Muay Thai for Cerrone. On the ground, he has all sorts of crafty submissions as well. But Iaquinta, coming out of the Serra-Longo camp, just went 5 rounds with Khabib on 1 day's notice. 1 day's notice showed a good
But he
job,
was
good
training
defense.
too.
Oh, yeah, he had a fight
He was
coming
about
up.
to go against the submission artist. I think Chiasson was his fight before.
I think it was, but he also was training for a 3-round fight and went 5. So, Iaquinta, high-level IQ in there. He comes in with a game plan, and he knows how to execute it. One of his biggest attributes in the game for a very long time, the 14-4 fighter, has only lost to Khabib Nurmagomedov and then Mitch Clark quite a while ago.
I think there should be a rule that Al Iaquinta spells his name with a capital A and capital L. And then Iaquinta should never be a line. It should always be the capital I with the lines across it.
Oh, that'd be
because
cool.
don't you think it's weird to look at it?
Yes, it's
like
hard
you
to read.
almost it's either like 2 L's or 2 I's, but you do something like I have a fucked up time every time I stare at Iaquinta's name, and then I feel proud of myself deep in my brain when I get it. And it's not that hard of a name, Al Iaquinta, but the way it looks is insane. I always think it when I'm looking at it.
Do you want to know how to say his name in Russian?
Tell me.
Iaquinta. Dvalishvili was saying
Do
it.
you know how you say it if it was a hotel? La Quinta.
Oh, that's not Spanish? That's not Spanish. La Quinta Suites.
La Quinta Inn. La Quinta.
That's awesome. But Al comes in with great
I'm
wrestling.
not the only person that thinks that when they drive
Agreed.
past La Quinta hotels. You're like, Al Iaquinta
Just-
stays there.
Oh, no.
Everyone,
His dad owns
now
that.
no one's ever going to be drive past it. They're going to tweet at us. Every time I drive by, there's an Iaquinta in my town.
Iaquinta Realty. La Quinta Realty.
Iaquinta, can I get you a room? And you're like, yeah, can you give me a room 402, please? Iaquinta Inn.
So, the D1 wrestler is coming in with great jiu-jitsu credentials. Good
And
job.
while we're at it, Cerrone pepperoni. That should be what he sells.
Yes,
He should have
I
some
totally agree.
Meat. That's where I
Cased
tells
meat.
his old lady.
Cased meat.
You ready for the Cerrone pepperoni?
I'm sure he does say that every once in a while. But Iaquinta, the wrestling, the striking, great hands on him. He's really been showing a lot of good hand-eye movement coordination. He's been using a lot of cross-training with a lot of that baseball stuff. We've talked about it a lot. And Al just... Against Kevin Lee, a lot of people saw him being the underdog. I saw Lee winning that fight as well. I thought the wrestling was going to take over, and Al just showed how he's better all the way around, and Kevin Lee had a bit of steam on him there for a bit. Really, it wasn't just a sturdy-ass split. Al beat the daylights out of Kevin Lee in that. That was a 30, or not even 30, that was a 5-rounder, and 5 of those rounds went to Al. So Al's someone in there that you always got to be worried of. He can go to decision. He can also knock you out by switching stances, which he does fairly often, and against somebody like a Donald Cerrone, whose chin can be tested in there, and body has always been a little weak. As of late, Donald Cerrone has just really had a reason to fight, and it's been that bibi. He just did his meet and greet where all he did was shake hands and kiss babies, and all he's been doing is showing his son the ropes. He has changed his mindset, and I do think that Donald Cerrone can beat a lot of lower competition in a Mike Perry, in a Alex Hernandez, but when he gets in that top 5, where Edwards potentially is in that spot, Till not so much, but that was a weird spot in Donald Cerrone's life. But he's really come on as of late. That Edwards fight doesn't look as bad. I had Cerrone all week going into this submission round number 4, but the reason I keep having submission round number 4 for Donald Cerrone is because he's going to be off of his back, and Al's going to jump in and somehow get a triangle. So how's that going to happen? Donald Cerrone has okay shots, but I see him more being on his back in that situation, which means Al's going to land a strike. And if it's hard enough, it might just take a couple more strikes and finish Donald. I've liked what I've seen. I've been betting on Donald as of late and done really well. I had submission round number 4 all week long. I think I'm going to switch it to Al decision right now, and I could even go for the finish. I talked my way out of it. Give me Al decision, 5 rounds. This is going to be a fun one. I'm excited. I'm flipping back and forth. Remember to like and subscribe because that weigh-ins is going to tell me a lot here. I talked my way into Al decision right now. Who do you have and why?
Al's ready for this, and he wants that fight again with Khabib so bad. He wants to prove himself, and he is one of the more well-rounded guys in this division, in my opinion. I think he can use, I feel like when I say this, he's going to use his wrestling in reverse to not even have to worry about going to the ground with Donald at all. I think he's more of the grinder, and I think he's going to out-cardio Donald. Donald at 155, his chin, he got knocked out with Till, which anyone would, and losing the decision to Leon Edwards, who I think we both think is better than anyone gives him credit for.
Yep.
But the other two guys, Mike Perry, he don't impress me much. Like, I think he's getting better, but I even question if this Donald Cerrone could beat this Mike Perry. I think Mike Perry's gotten that much better since the last time I've seen him.
It was him at Wink as well.
Oh, which was all that bullshit
all that
between
extra shit
which
we
has
talk
to be
about.
mental. I like Alex Hernandez, so good on him, but that is not even close to the way we saw Iaquinta handle Kevin Lee. Yep. It's not even close. And then, losing to Khabib versus Chiasson, I don't know if the same thing would have happened at all to go against a guy that's like jiu-jitsu oriented to then a heavy wrestler like Khabib. And then Diego Sanchez is a guy that I think is an up-and-coming beast. So to knock that guy out and not your 2 years that you've given me, I think Al takes smart fights. I think he's just doing everything right. He was one of the first guys to use Twitter in his advantage in a different way. Like, I'm a realtor. I don't even care. I make enough money out of the sports. And he's just kind of worked his way up into being one of the top 5 guys at the division. I don't think Donald is. I like the way he was heading, and I like the way he looked at 170. I think he becomes chinny again at 155. I think he's dehydrated. He's a little older. I think he's going to go in there, and because of fighting for the baby, in air quotes, which I think so too. Yep. I see that Donald Cerrone. I think he's going to get frustrated with Al because Al's a guy that doesn't give anything. He can take a hell of a punch. So Donald isn't dangerous to Al anywhere with his hands. So the only way I see Al or Donald being really dangerous to Al is with a head kick somewhere. I just think Al's smarter than that. I think he's coming from the right camp that I like right now. We're talking about new hot camps. Everything's good coming out of Sarah Jiu-Jitsu right now. Everything's good coming out of there. Dvalishvili, yeah, you were just saying it. So Donald Cerrone, he's just getting up there too. I think we're just watching one guy step out of the highlight of his career and another guy step into his prime.
I totally agree with that.
I just got Iaquinta. I think he's going to figure it out. I think he figures out Donald Cerrone before round 4.
Interesting. I had Cerrone submission round 4 earlier and switched.
I could even switch to Al round 3, but I do think this one's going to... It could even go the distance, but I think Al is going to handle 4 of the rounds if it does.
I'm leaning more towards the decision now as of late, but on DraftKings, the slight favorite, Al Iaquinta, at minus 150, 8,400 on DraftKings against Donald Cerrone, 7,800 at plus 120. I definitely see myself even putting both of these guys, not on the same card, but I think for 5 rounds, you got to put one or the other on here because it is 5 rounds. The winner is more than likely, it's going to be Al. I'm going to probably put 20% of Donald Cerrone in case there's that flash knockout, hedging my bets there maybe a little bit with that throwaway card. But I do like Al at 8-4 there. I think he can easily pay that off in 5 rounds.
And what'd you say his average was? 72?
72 against Donald Cerrone's average 81.
I could see myself peppering both guys somewhere, but I'm going to play Al a little heavier just because I didn't give you a lot of picks that I'm going to go with. And you know what I might even do this week because I am not super heavy on fighters? I might even release a few cards. Like, I might show you my exact picks on a DraftKings.
Woo! Taking it to the next level.
I might. Because I just don't have a lot I'm going with this week, so it's not like shuffling
big
a whole bunch of cards around. Yeah. I might only put out 1 or 2 cards. And
so the Bandits bonus of the week, I think there was only one underdog that we officially agreed on.
What one was it?
Was it Elias?
Oh, if he's the underdog, I like the Spartan in that.
He's at minus 105.
I know, it sucks,
Damn
you guys.
it.
If you guys look at the lines, everybody, but I still think he's the underdog, even at minus 105. I think Derek Brunson's
it's minus 125.
125.
Exactly.
That's bullshit.
It's garbage.
There's so many fights on this card that are both...
in that range.
Yeah.
So, will the fans let us get away with a minus 105? Because he's the underdog in the fight still.
There's somebody else I think we liked at the second fight of the night.
Let me see. Well, Juan Adams, but he's a favorite.
Oh, is he favorited?
Actually, that's a minus 110 Juan Adams right now against minus 120.
So it's 2 underdogs. I would even go 2 Bandits bonus with Adams Spartan.
That's
because
interesting.
They're both like... It sucks that you'd stack those and still not really.
That's what I'm thinking, and that's what doesn't make sense about.
They're gonna have to follow us. We're gonna have to wait until the lines get a little better to good for us to
spread
pick
apart.
A real underdog.
Let me see what the actual lines here on that fight are. Juan Adams minus 130 plus 110 as the official betting lines. Those were the Tapology, which isn't exactly updated, but we also have minus 110 Brunson, minus 110 Theodorou officially right now. Dang.
We're going to have to go through it, and the closer it gets, we could agree on a different underdog.
For sure. We'll do that in the back for sure.
And this is what I want to say before I bid you guys adieu. You can't yell Lesbo and the Bean at the end.
That's true. And did you already reveal the fourth wall by throwing out your name out there?
I know. Well, I did say it. You have to listen back, but people will probably be like, I don't even... So, I think we've said our name before, but I'm Cheney officially. You can call me Lesbo, but you guys are the only ones that are allowed to do that shit in the streets.
And you can always find the Bean or Emmanuel out there. I feel like, again, Rey Mysterio... Whew,
I know, you just took off that mask. It's hot under there.
It is hot under there. So, Emmanuel, the Bean, at Zol tonight.
It's LaTB. The only one we're probably not going to change right away, because I don't know if we can, is the Twitter. I think it might have to stay at Lesbo and the Bean for a little while, but everything else you'll slowly see adjusted to LaTB. But I kind of like that we'll have that little inside joke with our audience of now. So, yeah, thank you guys for getting us here, and we're not sellouts just because we're losing the Lesbo and the Bean. Love you.
LaTB.
Thanks for listening to LaTB. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.